What's up, YouTube? What's up, YouTube? It's your boy back with another one. People, in today's video, we want to discuss whether or not life under the DA and life under the party government, which of the two is better? And we already know that life under the ANC is much worse than life under apartheid. But how is life under the DA compared to life under apartheid? That's the topic of today. Let me know what you think about this topic in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. You know we family, right? Holla. People, everybody, a lot of people will tell you that economically speaking, South Africa was doing much, much better under the apartheid regime than it's doing now, right? What most people want to tell you is that you're comparing three different entities at once. So when we say apartheid was better economically, we are not speaking politically now. We are not speaking about the atrocities. You're not none of that. We're just speaking economically now. Okay, so let's compare. The ANC, we all know, is trash, right? Even though, even though we have to admit that it's not entirely the ANC's fault as to why the country is failing. There are international forces at play that have been at play since the inception of freedom or independence because they want to keep Africa poor. And the conditions that the international organizations set for European countries or colonial states are different to the standards set for African states. For example, even do you know that the IMF helped the entire Europe to develop after World War II? And yet the same IMF doesn't extend that same friendship to Africa. Do you know why? Or you don't know why? So the real reason is this, right? Africa is the land of resources, and everybody knows that. So we all know the story, right? Keep Africa poor, get cheaper resources, cheaper labor, and and all those resources are funneled to Europe and America, and thus the West develops. So we all know that story, right? Why would the West want to develop Africa? What's in it for them? If the place where they get their raw materials is going to be expensive, what would they gain? Nothing. So there's no reason to develop Africa, right? When the apartheid government was in power, the IMF and all these people, they helped grow the economy at cheaper or lower interest rates. On the surface, it looked like they were imposing sanctions, but behind closed doors, they were actually developing the economy. They were helping them. Today, when a black government takes over, they're strangling the economy. It's not the ANC doing it. The ANC see, well, okay, so since we are not allowed to grow the economy by certain margins or by so much, there's only little that we can do. We might as well also milk it for all it's worth. And so what are they doing? They're trying to enrich themselves. So put it to you like this. If you were in the ANC's shoes and you were told in your ear that you do not develop this economy beyond this point, we need to keep it poor because of A, B, C, D, and E, what would you do? Knowing that you're going to get a backlash from your people and leave empty handed? Or would you get backlash and leave with your pockets full and overflowing? What would you do? In my case, I'd do the latter because whether I do, whether I don't, I'm still going to be damned by my people. Because if I go the Ibrahim Traore way or route, then I'm going to be marked for death. And most African presidents don't want to go that route. Only the brave ones do. Gaddafi, Mugabe, Traore, Sankara, Nyerere, and to a lesser extent, I think Samora Machel. Oh, and the Botswana leaders. Oh, and the Ethiopian leaders too. People, now we're veering off track. Let's get back on track. So we're comparing life under apartheid. Everyone will tell you the economy was great. No one questions that. Things were cheaper, borders were secure. No one can dispute that, right? It was safer, it was this and that. The main problem was the police apparatus, the government apparatus, the military people. That was who you feared the most. Thieves, Tutsis, and gangsters, they were the least on your mind. You know what I mean? Because the military and the police, they were the dominant threat. Unlike today, where it's like the police and the military are non-existent. It's like when apartheid fell, it's like they took the army and the police with them, right? Doesn't seem the same, right? But now let's look at it this way. Let's compare life in Johannesburg to life in Cape Town, right? Joburg got potholes, Joburg got trash, it's got rubbish, it's got this, it's got that. Wow. But it's cheaper. It's livable, but it's dirty. Okay. Cape Town, on the other hand, it's expensive. People are being priced out of their communities. People are complaining about racism. People are, ah, tourism, foreigners are taking over. Digital nomads are pushing up prices. Foreigners are buying up all the properties. Ah, price wise, Cape Town is one of the most expensive cities to live in the world. But then again, if you're a foreigner coming to Cape Town, things are cheap. So, excuse me. If we're going to compare the apartheid government to the ANC, it's no comparison, and it would be warranted to compare a white government to a black government. And clearly, the white government wins in the economic battle. But then when we're comparing a white government, the party government, to the Western Province government, another white government, and if the party government still wins, then that means the DA is doing a bad job too. They may be doing better than the ANC, but they're not doing any better than the party government. Or do you disagree? Because if we have to compare life between the party government and the DA, surely the party government has done far more for the colored people, and I'm sure for the black people. I mean, I can't talk for the black people because I didn't grow up in the areas, and I'm not sure if they really gained under apartheid during the, what was it called? African Affairs, was it? African Affairs people? Or the Bantu Affairs or something like that? But what I do know is colored affairs did a hell of a lot for the colored people under apartheid. And a lot of colored people can attest to that. That colored affairs really focused on colored needs and colored people. Under the DA, colored affairs was basically scrapped. So, who is a better government? The party government or the DA government? You see, one thing most Capetonians, one thing most Capetonians can tell you about when it comes to security, for example, right? Because life was strict, right? Because During apartheid, of course, there was gangsterism, there was crime. It's not like how it is today, right? Today, it's just like totally blown out of blown out of proportion, blown out of. It's not even blown out of proportion. It is blown out of reality. It's blown out of real life, real time drama, and that's just the way it really is. A lot of people will tell you from a college perspective that they would rather go back to living under apartheid, having colored affairs provide the necessary tools and means and things that the colored affairs used to provide than having to live under the current DA government. What we cannot compare, what we cannot argue with is under apartheid, things were cheaper. Cape Town was definitely cleaner. It was safer. It was less congested. It was more secure. It was more affordable. You couldn't go where you wanted to go, true. You had to restrictions. But from an economic point of view, life was better lived under the apartheid government with colored affairs as compared to now under the DA and no colored affairs. Would you dispute that if you're a colored person? I mean, if I'm wrong, please tell me I'm wrong. But when we're now comparing a white government to a white government, and you find that a white government is failing against a white government, then there's a problem. I mean, I can understand that the ANC couldn't keep up to the standards of the white government because they are not white. They don't think like the whites do. They don't have the support that the white governments do. But now we're talking about the DA. It's a white government. So how come they cannot live up to the standards of the apartheid government? Why? I mean, they do have Western financial backing. They do have the backing of 10, 20 of the country's most richest white families, individuals, companies. So why can't the DA keep up the standards of the previous white government? They themselves are white. So why can't they do it? Or is it a case of they won't do it? They don't want to do it. You see, my thing is this. We all know that the DA caters to, you know, the rich, the foreigners, the tourists, the investors, the big companies, and whoever has money. We all know that. But what is their plan since colored affairs is gone? So what is their version of colored affairs? If they really had to come down to it, what would the DA's version of colored affairs be? Because colored affairs was a targeted program for colored people. What program does the DA have to replace colored affairs that they can say, okay, this particular program aims to develop the colored community in Cape Town? What initiatives do they have that is similar or a direct carbon copy of what colored affairs used to do or used to be? Nothing. In closing, yes, the apartheid government was bad. I will tell you that for a fact. On a political level, on a social level, on almost every level, apartheid was just a crime to humanity. But the one thing that white people, colored people, and black people cannot deny is the mere fact that when it came to economics, when it came to development, when it came to infrastructure, when it came to security, when it came to the nuts and bolts of the basics of what holds and builds a country, the apartheid government had that on lock. They held it down to the T because in their twisted minds, they wanted the best for themselves by any means necessary. And by doing that, they developed this country into what it is today and what it once was. Will South Africa ever get to its former glory? I don't know. Because if you look at Cape Town now, just the number of shacks that are springing up all over the show, it's hard to think that there's even a government that, to be honest, I don't know. The influx of people, the shacks mushrooming up everywhere. This, it's like the DA have just lost interest. Any open land, any open spaces are being taken over by shacks. It's just beyond measure. You can't compare it. It's just shocking. I mean, today you see an open space, in a few weeks' time, you'll find the shacks. Even along railway lines now, the shacks. Pavements, shacks. I don't know, man. Let me know what you think about this topic in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. But before you do that, let me know, was I on the money or did I totally miss it with this one? Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. You know we family, right? Holla.